Alright, so now I want to cover some weather. So you still remember about the weather?
Yeah, probably.
Alright, so I want to cover weather from the really basic, because the goal of this webinar now is when you know the basic, then I just found if you can understand what I will explain to you about the basic of the weather system and how our atmosphere and everything what I want to explain, then you can connect all the dots, because I just found all the weather system from private, commercial, and instrument, even in my flight instructor ground preparation, it's all spreading dots. But if you know the fundamental, the real concept is very simple one, then you can start to connect the dots. Okay. I will not cover the whole weather theory because we don't have much time. You need to listen to the King Schools one more and do the written exam. But before you do that, I want you to understand the fundamental concept. I give you the 13 items that always appear on any exam for your commercial later. You will find these 13 items in your written or your oral exam. Well, let's start from this is the Earth. I want to talk about why the atmosphere is not circle perfectly, but form in eclipse format. So, do you know why this kind of situation happened?
So which one is your Earth?
Sorry?
So which one is your Earth?
The blue one is the Earth, and the atmosphere is here. It's eclipse one. I mean, why don't the atmosphere is following the Earth's shape?
The ozone is different? No, not sure.
Alright, so this is the story, the beginning of every single thing in our universe. So this is the sun. The weather comes, the weather system appear because there is the variation on the solar energy that creates a differential heat exchange. There's a differential heat from between the equator here. So let's draw the equator here and the North Pole. Okay. And the heat exchange is caused because of the position of our planet in the orbit toward to the sun. This is the sun, okay? The sun heat in the equator is hotter than in the North Pole. Then the weather is getting hot in the equator, and what happened? They evaporate and push the atmosphere is longer here than in the north. That's the main reason, because the equator is closer to the Earth, to the sun, and they have differential heat. Okay, because of that, the atmosphere is longer here. So the top of the atmosphere is 48,000 feet, and here is 28,000. 22, I think 22, around 20,000 feet. Yeah, it's 20,000 feet, sorry. As we know that we live in the troposphere, right?
Yeah.
And above troposphere is stratosphere. In the middle between troposphere and stratosphere is the tropopause. Okay, you need to know and remember all of this stuff. So we live in troposphere, but in our equator, in Australia, in Indonesia, and Singapore, the troposphere is up to flight level 480. So normally, any Airbus A380, when flying from Singapore to, let's say, to Europe, their flight level is like 42,000 feet. Okay, 420. Then they're still in the troposphere. But if you fly in North America to Alaska or to the northern hemisphere near to the Alaska, maybe Russian, to the Russia, then if you fly above the troposphere, you're already at the stratosphere. You know what I mean? Because at the North Pole area is only to flight level 200. Then I will explain to you what is the difference and what is the impact. Then this will be the major fundamental of the understanding of the weather. So when the hot weather comes here and it's radiate, okay? We radiate here. It's hot, right? It's hot. And then it's evaporate, go up here. And then so the hot weather is coming, is rising because of heat, you know. It's radiation. It's release the heat, then it's evaporate, going up. And after it going up, the weather is cooler. When it's cooler, it's going to the north. And after it's going to the north, it's getting cool, more dense, and its weight is heavy. Then it's starting to fall. And after it fall, it's coming back to raise because it's getting hotter. And that we call the cycle of the weather. So hot, lower pressure, coming up. Okay, coming up is here. I put the green. And release the heat, okay? And go to the north, to the stratosphere, in the middle of troposphere and stratosphere. And then go down. Because it's already cool, more dense, heavier, and go down. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how the cycle works in the northern hemisphere. Okay? So what creates the weather is the heat exchange and the variation of the solar energy. Now the atmosphere, what you have to know is we are in the troposphere. In the middle of troposphere is the tropopause. So what really happened in the tropopause? Okay. The tropopause is the boundary between the troposphere and the stratosphere. And what happened in the tropopause is the wind shift. Okay, the wind shift changed greatly and will be vary in the tropopause in the middle of between the stratosphere and the troposphere. So if you fly in the North American, Russia, China, maybe in the north of China, then maybe the flight level 250 you will get a very strong wind. If you see the depiction chart, the wind aloft around China, flight level 350 or maybe flight level flight level 250 in between on the troposphere and the stratosphere, you will see the very high speed of wind like 100 knots. You know, Fairlin, it's 100 knots, 130 knots, and some the direction is vary, and also the temperature is abrupt. So that's the characteristic in the boundary between the stratosphere and the troposphere. Okay, remember that because that will be on your written exam. What kind of weather phenomena in the tropopause? Okay, now we already talking about the atmosphere. You remember troposphere, you remember stratosphere, tropopause, and what happened in the tropopause? In the tropopause, okay, in the tropopause, you find that the weather is reduced its temperature by increasing the altitude. What do you call that, Perlin?
Are you talking about temperature inversion?
No. Remember, temperature inversion is after this, but normally in the tropopause, the higher you climb is the cooler the weather, right?
Yeah, you don't get any change in temperature in the tropopause.
In the stratosphere, you don't get a change temperature, but in the troposphere, you got the temperature change. What kind of temperature change? What is the name of the temperature change? Remember?
Do you want a diabetic lapse rate?
That is the that is the lapse rate. First of all, that is the lapse rate, the ambient lapse rate. That's a normal one. It's 2 degrees Celsius per 1,000 feet. So in the instrument rating, you learn about dry adiabatic. It's 3 degrees per 1,000 feet. So what is the difference? Honestly, when I got my instrument rating, I don't care about the difference because I just want to pass. Now when I'm going to my CFI, then I get tempted. I feel I have to study more about that, and I found 2 of these is different. Why? Because the ambient lapse rate is the normal one. It is the saturated weather lapse rate. Okay, and dry. The dry adiabatic is unsaturated lapse rate. So why the temperature is different? Because if you know the saturated things is from the liquid to the vapor state, is releasing the form, like liquid to the vapor, and the vapor to the liquid, like rain and something. So it needs energy. So because of need energy, the weather reduce the degrees of cooling. So from 3 degrees it's become 2 degrees because it consists of the water vapor. It consists of the saturation things. You know what I mean? So it needs more energy to create liquid form to the vapor form and vice versa. That's the difference. That's why the adiabatic dry is 3 degrees and the ambient lapse rate is 2 degrees, because the dry adiabatic, they don't have unsaturated, they just go, they don't have to release form, they don't have to change the form from liquid to the vapor states and everything. You know the difference now?
The second one is saturated. The
Yeah.
other one is
It's not saturated. Yeah, dry is not saturated. So the dry one is cooler. The higher you climb, the cooler the weather. It's 3 degrees per 1,000 feet. Okay? And in the saturated one is 2 degrees. Okay? But why is different? That could be very interesting to study. I mean, why, right? Because the adiabatic lapse rate, there's no heat gained, okay, and it's just decreased because you don't have to change the form from the liquid states to the vapor states, or from the vapor states to the liquid state, because it needs energy. To change the form, you need energy, and it's heat. That's why it's heater. It's 50% heater, right? Almost 50%. It's 1 degree differential. Understand? Between both of them?
no, it's negative actually. So you say that when it's saturated, it doesn't need to change the state.
The dry one doesn't need to change because there is no water vapor there. All right? It's a dry thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the philosophy about the ambient lapse rate. So speaking about the ambient lapse rate, the cooler the weather, the cooler it's decreased, the temperature is unstable, the more unstable the weather. So when the weather come up and it's slower to be cool, then it is a stable weather. Remember that. So temperature inversion is a stable weather because it's hotter. Okay. Unstable weather, it means the higher you climb, the more the weather is getting cool, and it's even more than the standard. Maybe it's 4 degrees per 1,000 feet. Then the weather is not stable. All right, understand?
Yeah.
Okay, now how you check whether your weather now is stable or not? Any idea? Can you check it?
Just the average temperature change every 1,000 feet.
Yeah, and for now, how do you get that?
You can look at the outside air temperature when you're flying.
You are not flying now, but you want to see whether you are now in the stable or not stable weather. So you go to.
You can look at the weather synopsis chart and look at the lows and the highs.
Actually, you want to check this wind and temp. Okay, you want to check this. Let's see in the 12,000 feet. All right, check it. What is the temperature in? Okay, let me find the wind low. Let's see at 12,000 feet, it's the +1, okay?
Yeah.
And now I want to check this KSBA meter. I want to know the surface temperature of Santa Barbara. So Santa Barbara is 11 degrees, okay? So 11 degrees in the surface. What is the airport elevation? Let's say it's 40 feet, 11, 12,000 feet, 1. So let's say you have 11,000. No, you have 12,000 roughly. Okay. Divide by 1,000, so you got 12. Multiply by 2, right? So in 12,000, it should be -24. Okay, should be -24. Meanwhile, the weather surface is 11, so 24 minus 11, that becomes 13. -13. If you talk about the ambient lapse rate, so normally the weather above Santa Barbara at 12,000 feet should be -13, but the real one is 1 degrees. So which one is stable? I mean, is the weather now stable or unstable?
It will be stable.
Yeah, that will be stable. Why? Because the weather is slower to be cool, right? And what is the characteristic of stable and unstable weather here? I teach about number 11. I teach you about how to identify. You have to remember about this. And now, how to determine stable and unstable weather. What is the characteristic of stable weather? Recall something? Stable weather. You got smooth air, but the consequences is poor visibility. What else? Steady precipitations. Okay? And the cloud is stratus, or you can say stratiform. Now unstable weather is turbulent. The clear air turbulent, okay? Nice and clear visibility. Showery precipitations. And what is the cloud type here? Cumuloniform. Clear? Now let's prove it. Is that a smooth air? Poor visibility? Let's see. Here V. It's only 3/4 statute miles. Wow. Weather is mist. It's mist. It's obscured sky. Ceiling is 200. Wow. Because the weather is so stable. You know, it's 12,000 feet. The temperature is 1 degree. It's amazing. But the consequence is disaster. You got this kind of weather. So all makes sense for you? Now you know how to predict?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Now I want to talk about here. I want you to know about how the weather pressure could show you the altimeter 2992 with the Mercury's tools. Do you have any idea how it works? How the altimeter pressure indicator show you the weather? I mean, show you what is the pressure? How it works?
You set your altimeter to the elevation of the field, and you indicate the pressure.
Yes, but how it works? I mean, how the weather pressure show you a 2992 and everything? Okay, let me explain. Ready to copy?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh my god, what happened with you? You're so tired. Okay, take a look here. This is like a water, okay? And when the weather is cool, it's getting more dense and it pulls down, okay? Because it's heavy, it's go down, push. And when the weather pulls, the liquid go up. That's why it show you the higher altimeter setting, 29er, 9er, 9er, or maybe 30, 15, okay? Because the weather is cool, heavy, pushed down, and the liquid go up. Then when the weather is hot, what happens? It's less dense and it's go up. It's like a balloon, it's go up. And when it's go up, the liquid is go down. That's why you show it reads to 9er 80, something like that. That's how the altimeter works. The altimeter indicator, the pressure indicator, I mean. So every time you think about cool weather, it's a high pressure. A hot weather is a low pressure. Weather always moves from the cool to hot. Weather always moves to replace the lower pressure. That's why the sea breeze, the sea breeze is coming to the land, because the land is hotter and the pressure is low, and here is high, is cooler, okay, and high, so it's replaced. Cooler weather in the sea go to the hot weather, and then radiation, okay, when go up, the weather release the heat, and coming back go down because the cool weather is heavier. So that's the cycle. So remember, cool weather is always related with the higher pressure than hot weather. So then you will know about flying from the high pressure to the low pressure. Then you know about the cold front and the hot front. When the cold front is coming, so you will have the unstable weather is the bad. Okay. So what is the cold? Later we discuss about the cold, the front. I mean, sorry. Before we talk about that, we talk about the Coriolis force and the surface friction. Okay, you clear about this? I will erase this. Okay. Can you imagine if you have a dish, the CD, and you turn it, the CD is rotating now, and now you're trying to draw a line. You want to draw straight here, while the CD is moving that side, that direction. So you will never get a straight line, but you will get a right deflected line. Okay? It's same with the Earth. So when the Earth is moving and then the weather go up, okay, that will never go up. So the weather movement in the northern hemisphere will go to the right. It's the right deflection. It's because of the Coriolis force. It's same with the CD. Alright? So what happened is this weather is a wind. The wind, because we are talking the weather movement. Wind is the movement of the air mass. Is the weather. When the weather moves, then we call that wind. So you know isobar. This is the isobar, right? All of this is isobar. See, when the isobar is tightened, it means it's getting the weather pressure, the wind speed is stronger, and the weather is less stable here. So this is better because it's wide range. Now, in the isobar, based on the Coriolis force, the weather comes and it moves parallel with the isobar. So let's say here it's moved parallel, anti-clockwise. Okay? But in 2000 feet, because of the friction between the wind and the surface earth, the wind is cross the isobar and direct to the low pressure. That happened in the 2000s. So that's why in the 2000 feet, when you got unstable weather, is a lot of wind change there and very, very fast wind. Okay. So as we know now, in Venice area is a low pressure. It's stable weather because it's hot. Okay. The lapse rate is lower than it should be. Okay, that's how we talk about. We have discussed this. Temperature inversion after this. Ambient lapse rate done. Calculate the pressure is done. Coriolis force is done. Okay. Any question on the Coriolis force?
No.
Okay. So in the temperature inversion, it's a stable weather. It's because of the radiation fog. Because of the radiations. Okay. Clear sky at night, when the weather release, it heats. Okay. No clouds, clear. That is the major temperature inversion could happen. So when you get low level temperature inversions, you will get a wind shear. Sometimes the wind shear will happen in the low level temperature inversion. The more you climb, the hotter the weather. It's because of the heat exchange. The weather releases the heat. No clouds, so the weather is going up and hot above there. Okay, clear nights. And what else? You will expect a fog in the temperature inversions. It's very restricted visibility. It's mist sometimes. Okay, haze, or sometimes low clouds. It's created low clouds, but it's not a big. It's just like a haze cloud, something like that. Okay, that's how the weather systems on the temperature inversion. So basically, temperature inversions is getting hotter, but more stable. The visibility is restricted. Okay, and the wind shear should come. So tell me about the thunderstorm. What kind of states of the thunderstorm?
So there is the cumulus stage,
Yeah.
characterized by the lifting of the air,
Yeah.
and this is a growth stage of it. Then there's the mature stage that's characterized by the first downpour. So basically when rain starts to fall from the cloud base, and you get a mix of the updraft and downdraft at a time. And then there's the dissipating stage where it's just strong downdraft and the cell is dying.
Okay, which one is the most dangerous?
The mature stage is the most dangerous because it reaches the highest intensity in terms of wind, in terms of the downdrafts and updrafts.
Which one is that?
Mature stage.
Major stage?
Yeah.
Oh, I think the most dangerous one is the dissipating, right? That's a full downdraft and full of tailwind sometimes. Alright, remember of that. Okay, now let's talk about the front. So remember, dissipating is the horrible part. Be careful. Major is rain. It's not big deal with the major stage. But the dissipating is the whole downdraft. And sometimes the microbursts, I think, yeah, microbursts, that's hazy downdraft. It could be like 6,000 feet per minute downdraft. Wow. Okay. So let's talk about the temperature inversion is done. Front and impact. So what do you know about front?
There's a warm front and a cold front associated with temperature and wind changes.
Mm-hmm. But before that, what is the front actually?
It's a weather movement.
There's a transition between the hot and cold front actually. Two air mass meet, boom. And hot and cool meet. The border of the hot air mass, cool air mass meet is the front. So when you fly across the front, what will gonna happen?
So a lot of instability.
Okay, wind change, okay?
Yeah, wind change, temperature change.
Yes. And also, just before the warm front coming, you will get a low level wind shear. Okay? Before the warm front passes, that will be a low level wind shear because the cold front takes over. Remember that for your written exam. When the cold front coming take over to the airport, then the wind shear will come, okay? Okay, front, impact, you know all the impact. Okay, cloud types, there will be a low, middle and high cloud type. and also the vertical extensive one. The vertical extensive is the cumulonimbus. What is a nimbus cloud? What's the meaning of nimbus?
Rain.
Rain, okay, that's good. So the cumulonimbus, the CB, is the vertical extensive. And why the thunderstorm creates? Because how it creates? I mean, tree state is done, but how the cumulonimbus with the thunderstorm is coming?
How? Because there's water vapor and humidity in the air. Then there's an unstable lapse rate in the temperature, and there's a continual lifting action that just causes the clouds to lift and form a towering vertical structure.
Yeah, that will be a sufficient weather vapor. Okay, sufficient weather vapor coming up and lifting actions, and also ambient lapse rate. That's good. Alright, I think we cover all of this. Oh, and the wind shear. We want to talk about the wind shear. So tell me, what do you know about the wind shear?
Not very much.
Wind shear is normally if you see the wind change direction and speed and you don't know the directions, that will be a wind shear. Okay? Wind shears could make you updraft, downdraft, is any direction. It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
So low
So
level.
wind shear is just any. So wind shear is just a wind that you are unsure of the direction and velocity.
Yes. And the code in the meter is VRB, variable. Let's say variable 5 knot, gusty to 28. Then that will be a worse wind shear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
And
about the weather forecast here now.
yeah. Oh, in your place?
And it was yesterday or the day before it was variable 20 gust 40
Oh.
at the Gold Coast.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's crazy. That's a wind shear. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the
So
weather here now.
it's perfectly great. So it's not good to fly. I want you to remember this. Let's say you got a turbulent plot here. So FAA tell you that in the big turbulence, the severe turbulence will be 20 miles from the cell, 20 miles from the cell of the CB. Remember this, okay? So whenever you have your weather with you, you don't want to fly in the radius of 20 miles from the red zone or the magenta zone. That will be severe turbulence. When you get temperature inversions, okay, in the strong temperature inversions near thunderstorm, two conditions: temperature inversion and near to thunderstorm, you will get a wind shear, okay, at 2000 to 4025 knots or more. So when you get a strong temperature inversion and also you got a thunderstorm near the thunderstorm, you know the thunderstorm is maybe 5 miles around the vicinity of the airport, and you got a temperature inversion near of that, expect strong wind shear 2000 to 4025 knots or more. That will be on your written exam. Remember, the keyword is temperature inversions and thunderstorm. Alright, let's talk about icing, because icing is the most critical aspect for your instrument oral exam and flight. Okay, the biggest enemy of instrument rating pilot is icing. So we talk about the structural ice, instrument icing, induction icing. Okay, and I put the application and risk management. I will discuss about several things if you got icing and what kind of flying technique you want to take. because Dennis will ask you this. When you got icing, what you have to do? Okay? You are not flying tailwheel airplane with flight 172, and he will ask you about that. So clear ice, that's the first structural icing, the most dangerous icing. Okay? It's formed when temperature 2 to -10. So normally in flight level, in 12,000 feet in Santa Barbara, you got visible moisture. It's a haze, okay, clouds. Then the temperature is 1 degree Celsius. That will be a very susceptible for icing. With the presence of large water droplet, freezing drizzle or freezing rain, clear ice could be formed. And clear ice is attached on your wing and put more weight on the wing. Clear ice is the most dangerous type of structural ice, not only because it is hard to see, but also because it can change the shape of airfoil. And finally, what? The separation of airflow, you lose your lift, need more power, and stall. Okay, that's the ideas. Icing is stall. Icing, more weight. Okay. Icing changes the center of pressure. Icing changes of the center of gravity. The more hazardous clear ice shapes, as in two examples above, tend to form at temperature closer to 0 degrees. In warmer temperature, supercool water droplets first impact a surface and then follow up before freezing. So water droplets, supercool water droplets. The first is like rain when it touches the wing and suddenly it's freeze. Okay. The process often forms horns or other shapes that can substantially disrupt airflow over the wing. All icing is all about airflow disruptions, airflow separation. If the aircraft surface is below freezing, ice can form even when the static air temperature is above 0 degrees. The situation can occur on descent from sub-freezing temperature. Remember that. It can also occur when the local temperatures reduce to below freezing due to low pressure areas and airflow accelerations. So remember, when you tune the ATIS, you want to listen also to the PIRAP, because when I depart from Venice to Santa Barbara a year ago, I listened to the PIRAP that one pilot above Santa Susana Pass, a lot of clouds, they report an icing, a rime ice. So sometimes in Venice area they got ice inside the clouds. Okay. So temperature, moisture content, and droplet size will determine the shape and structure of ice. The ice shape and structure in turn determine how it affects the aircraft aerodynamic and handling control qualities. We don't want to clear ice. So what you will have if one of your wing got icing, is uncommanded roll. That will happen. Uncommanded roll. It's due to the ice accumulation on one of the wing. So do you have any idea how to reduce that? The first thing you want to do after you suspect uncommanded roll.
When you suspect icing, you should start your de-icing equipment. Yeah, you just try to keep the aircraft level.
Okay, that's good.
And then try to climb or descend out of the icing level.
Okay, what you need to do is reduce your angle of attack. That's the first thing. Level, reduce your angle of attack. Don't get trapped into the roll. Okay, and set appropriate power and monitor the airspeed, because the airspeed is tend to go down. Okay. A control descent is vastly better. So you want to descend down to the warmer air. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the first thing. A part of the ACS is all the risk management. You want to do the risk management. if you have a flaps extended, let's say you are on the approach and suddenly you got ice, you should not retract your flaps. You should not retract it until you make sure that the upper surface of the airfoil, the upper surface of your wing is clear of the ice. Otherwise, when you retract that, you change the form of the airfoil and the angle of attack might vary, and you might get a higher or increasing angle of attack with that speed. So the first is keep it level, reduce the angle of attack. If you got flaps, okay, if you got flaps, don't retract it. Okay, remember that 3 things. Just in case he asks you about this, maybe we'll give some scenario in the Lake Tahoe or something. Then he will ask, what is your risk management? How you handle your plane? That you exact answer, okay? And how about if you have the autopilot? You fly G1000 and you have autopilot.
Engage the autopilot.
Disengage and hand flying, okay, is periodically. Sometimes you can engage and disengage, but normally you can fly hand flying. Alright? That's good. Now, rime ice. Rime ice form when small droplet freeze immediately rime contact with the aircraft surface. The temperature is 15 degrees to 20 degrees. That will be rime ice. Okay. Rime ice has milky, opaque appearance resulting from the air trap when it strikes the leading edge of an airfoil and freeze. So most of them in the leading edge. Let's see the rime ice. Okay. Anytime you get the ice like this, that will impact your aerodynamic and handling quality. You want to go down. How about the instrument? You can get the radio interference, the navigation with the ice on your antenna. So there's nothing to do with that unless you go descend to the warmer air. Okay. Induction icing. In induction icing, you will get icing in your carburetor if you are not flying the injection one. And what you have to do is the ice using the carburetor heat and land as soon as practicable. The question is how you identify that you are under icing conditions. Can you tell me?
So you can, in terms of like structural ice, you'll be able to tell, like if you look out of your windows to see your wings. It can also have an effect on your performance of the aircraft. In terms of like you're not going as fast because of the drag. In terms of structural, so that's in terms of structural icing. In terms of, I guess, instrument icing.
How about the engine?
If it hits your pedal system or static system, yeah, there will be an effect on your instruments.
How about your engine? I mean, when you get induction icing, what is the first symptom of your engine to make you realize that, oh shit, I got induction icing?
Reduce power.
Yeah, the RPM drop, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that exactly you have to know, and what to do is apply carburetor heat and go down. Okay, the objective of the icing is you know what kind of ice and what kind of impact of the ice, how the ice is forming visible moisture, whether at the freezing level, and how it impact your aerodynamics, risk management. When you get uncommanded roll, you have to level it the plane, decrease your angle of attack. Okay, That's all about the icing. You have a good memory to memorize all the type. So this is the 14 items that you have to understand for your Checkride commercial instrument. 14 items. I will add more jet stream, squall line later in your commercial. I don't want to make you confused with that. Also air mat, we discuss it later. Air mat, sig mat, convective sig mat, and so on. But all of that is this 14. As long as you know how to explain the weather like I did, you will be fine on weather. No one will want to listen to weather. It's so boring topic. Even the DB will not listen about that. As long as you know what kind of weather and what's the wind and route on your flight plan, wind aloft, and you know that it's stable weather, and the stable weather could be obscured weather, then you want to check the FSS for the weather briefing. To check the weather, there is the AirMat Zulu for icing, AirMat Tango for the turbulence, and AirMat Sierra for mountain obscuration. Okay. So there are 3 AirMats. Zulu is all about icing. AirMat Tango is all about moderate turbulence. And AirMat Sierra, let's make it simple, it's IFR weather. Okay, V? That you have to know, the AirMat things.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, now we'll little bit talk about the procedure of your flight plan. Tell me about the alternate flight plan rules for IFR.
So you use the 1, 2, 3 principle to determine whether you need an alternate flight, alternate for your flight plan, your IFR flight plan. So if within 1 hour before and 1 hour after your ETA, the ceiling is less than 2,000 feet or the visibility less than 3 miles, you require an alternate.
Okay.
Or if the airport that you intend to land at does not have an instrument approach procedure, you also need an alternate.
Okay, then tell me about the alternate requirement. I mean,
the fuel requirement?
Yeah, the instrument approach, when you choose the airport for your alternate, and you will choose the alternate with the instrument approach, and what's the weather minimum for that airport?
Yeah, so if you choose an alternate with a precision instrument approach, it needs to be a 600 feet ceiling or more. If you choose an airport instrument approach that is non-precision, it's 800 feet ceiling and above. Or you can choose another airport that has no instrument approaches, but it has to be VFR conditions.
Perfect. You're still warm on that. That's good. So how about the fuel regulations?
But you need to carry, you determine whether you need an alternate. So if you need an alternate, you need to carry enough fuel to your destination for intended landing, fuel to the alternate after that, and 45 minutes at normal cruise.
Okay. Tell me about, wait a minute, I take my list. I have something to ask you about. The VOR. Tell me about the VOR test.
Well, there are a few, so you need to do a VOR test every 30 days.
No, how to do it? Yeah.
Well, You need to conduct a VOR check still within the 30 preceding days before an IFR flight. So in terms of VOR testing, you can do that in a few different ways. That's the VOT, that's the VOR ground check, VOR air checks like in the air, or you can just do a dual VOR check against each other.
Okay. How many degrees?
Oh, it depends. So the air check is in the air you're given a plus or minus 6 tolerance. For any other checks like the ground check or the dual VOR or the VOT check, it's plus or minus 4 degrees.
Okay. And what is the setting? I mean, when you are the VOT, when you set to 180, so what is the...
It is a 180. So it should be, well, the angle 2, the arrow 2 is the 180, and it will be 360 from.
Good job. You are really genius. It's long enough for you to not cover this and you still remember. Alright, you remember this? To convert the climb rate nautical mile to the feet per minute. Whenever your SID show the climb gradient must be like nautical mile per feet, then you want to change that to the feet per minute. That's your formula. Remember that?
Yeah.
Alright, the last one is I'm talking about the weather minimum. Okay, the weather minimum. But before that, I want to ask you tell me about the spatial VFR regulation.
Spatial VFR is, I think it's one spatial mile visibility and clear of clouds.
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah. Huh?
Say again.
So 1 mile visibility and clear of clouds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
1 mile visibility.
Yeah.
Clear of cloud. And what else? What airspace?
And control airspace.
It's in Bravo and Delta, right?
Yeah.
And how about the ceiling?
I can't remember, sorry.
Okay, that's very important. That's fine. It's 1,000 things. Okay, always remember that. Then, if you fly at night, you need instrument rating. That's why you need to know about this. And some airport does not allow you to use that. Instrument flight, except for helicopter, between sunrise and sunset. The person being granted ATC clearance needs applicable instrument flight. So it means you have to have instrument rating to fly. It should be at night actually. Okay, and now before getting further, the weather for VFR is 3 to 5 is considered as marginal VFR, right? Less than 3, that's why 1 statute mile is considered as spatial VFR. In class Delta, the distance is, if I'm not mistaken, is 0.5 miles from the airport. The class Delta. Okay. Okay. Make sure you know about the spatial VFR because he will ask you. The next game is the weather minimum VFR. for class Bravo? For class Bravo.
3 statute mouse per pulse.
Bravo is up to 10,000, so 3 and COC. But if the class Bravo is above 10,000, what happened? Sorry, to the control airspace above 10,000. Is any control airspace and above 10,000, so what is the weather minimums?
Are you talking about echo?
Yeah, it should be echo then, right? Remember?
Yes, echo.
Uh-huh. Yeah, what is the weather minimums? 10,000 and above.
It is 5 statute miles and 1,000 above, 1,000 below, 1,000 horizontal.
Okay, perfect. And how about class G?
So class G in the day is 1 statute mile, 1,000 above, 500 below, and 2,000 horizontal. Above, that's class G above 1,200
Okay.
AGL. And then in the day, class G below 1,200 AGL, it's just 1 statute miles and clear of clouds.
That's
Then
good.
at night, it just becomes 3 statute miles, 1,000 above, 500 below, and 2,000 horizontal.
Okay, any questions so far? We already covered weather, icings, the weather minimums, you still remember? You're good to go for these topics. So don't forget about that 14 items. Have you checked it out? Record that, print screen. And don't worry about the commercial, it's the easy part. You don't have to fly VFR all the way around, okay? Because most of your instrument rating is VFR. You fly instrument rating with the VFR clearance. There's only some of them is instrument clearance, but when you shoot the approach for the practice, you will fly VFR, okay? So normally you fly from Van Nuys to Camarillo. This is like I accompany KY to fly all the days here, unless KSBA. But when you fly for en route training, you will go to Santa Maria. This is IFR. San Luis Obispo, maybe Santa Barbara back, and also to Riverside. That's it. But for the Checkride purposes, Gil will handle you for this, because exactly Dennis will take you for Camarillo, Oxnard. That's it. Okay.
Okay.
Don't worry about the VFR stuff. You will handle it easily. Just think, find a time, and decide. Basically, when you cover all the oral exam in the instrument about the weather, then commercial is just additional. It's not a big deal, because you already. One more thing, maybe one big deal for you is the prop governor system, and I will teach you about the governor system. It will take like 40 minutes to teach you about the governor system, flyweights, propeller hubs, and speeder. You know the governor system, right? You use that.
You're talking about the propeller governor?
Yes, exactly. That's a commercial oral exam. Specifically talking about the propeller governor. I have the beautiful chart of the propeller governor. Then we'll discuss that for your oral prep. Okay. Good night, Caroline. Say hi to KY, okay?
Alright, thanks.
Thank you. Bye bye.